am down here at a place that used to be called Orgreave, which is just, I would have said it's just outside Sheffield, but I've just passed a sign coming in that actually says Rotherham. So we're down here today to look at an old colliery site that used to exist just around this area here. Now it's all been heavily developed and turned into a brand new housing estate and an industrial park as well. So it's looking rather nice these days. Also, while we're here, this site actually has a dark history attached to it as well, and it's relating to the mine. Now cast your minds back all the way to 1984, and if you remember at the time, there were a lot of coal miners' strikes going on in the area. If in the news you saw any footage of any riots during them coal mining strikes, in fact I think some clips of it were used in the Billy Elliot film, would have been filmed here. This was the site of a rather large battle between the miners and the police at the time. Now I'm just stood right next to the bridge where a lot of pictures just like this one were taken. So if you look at this picture, this is one of the most iconic pictures and images that you will see from the battle that happened in 1984. And it all took place on this bridge just behind me here. They have now rerouted the road. The road to my left is on a brand new bridge now, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But just behind me here is the original bridge, and we will be going and having a look at that as well. Now this area is known as Waverley, but it used to be called Orgreave. Like I said, it was named after the colliery on the site, but it appears because of the reputation that it got in the media, they've tried to distance themselves from that name. So all the roads in the area have been renamed, and the area is now known as Waverley, and the brand new housing estate down there is Waverley as well. But you can't take away history. So as you can see today, this is the site of the brand new road bridge here. The original road where that picture was taken that I showed you is just down here on the left. Now I'm going to be joined by a guest very shortly who's going to go through all the history of the site. He knows it in very, very good detail. But before he turns up, I'm just going to show you the original road down there so you can see the old road there with the bridge across the railway. That's where that picture took place, pointing that way towards the colliery, which was all this site here, mainly on this side, but now it's a brand new housing estate. Okay, so we're down here now at the Orgreave Colliery site, which is just all behind me here and to the side of me. So you can see it's all been re-landscaped now and turned into something completely different. It's actually a lovely country park now. But I'm joined by a special guest today. I've got Joe with me.
Hello.
There's Joe. He's a local expert on the whole site round here. He used to live not far from here. Got a nice memorial here to the miners from the site, and also the coke works over there. So you can see it closed down in 1981. So like I said a minute ago, the site that we're on now is where the colliery used to be. It's now a giant spoil heap, but it used to be the colliery, and I'll just show you. There's the memorial we just looked at. All this site here was part of the colliery. And then where those houses are over there was a huge coke works, which was related to this site. The coke works used to supply a steel factory in Scunthorpe, so that remained open till 1990, whereas the colliery closed much earlier in 1981. So we're just walking through the new housing estate, which is now being built on the site of the old coke works over here, and the colliery this side. So we're just taking a wander around, and as you can see, it's completely changed. If you look at all the new houses now, and very nice, I must say, how the landscape is just totally different. So a lot of these roads are roughly where they used to be, but the heights have changed quite a bit over the years, and they've remodeled some of them. So we're just walking around the whole site. and we're going to point out anything that we find or any remains.
There's nothing to say welcome to Orgreave anymore. The only thing you'll see is, as you're approaching from Morrison's, you'll see road signs saying Handsworth, Sheffield and Orgreave.
So
they're quite old signs.
So everything that said Orgreave on it from back in the day, gone.
They're trying to rip name out. That's simply what they're trying to do.
So they're trying to get rid of it. It's called Waverley now, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like, even the roads, you think that they'd name roads, you know, accordingly after, you know,
things in the area.
Yeah, but there's a few named after local rivers. The only thing recently what's popped up is the new housing estate being built at the bottom, which has been named Sorby Village, and Sorby is the family what founded the first colliery on the site and lived at Orgreave Hall.
Right.
For majority of its time.
So it seems like they're trying to distance it.
Yeah, a lot.
I was told that there was a sign on the road at the top that said Orgreave on it, and they kept taking it down and they kept putting it back up.
As far as I know, that's...
So the council probably removed it, and the residents were putting it back up to say, you can't forget it, you can't push it out.
Unfortunately, I'm only 25, so if any of these things happened before I was born...
Yeah.
It is. I never knew this area as it were.
So you would have been 12 years before you were born that the riots happened.
I mean, when I was born, Coke Works were demolished, Orgreave Hall were demolished.
What year were you born?
95.
95. So yeah, so
95 was the year they gained permission to open cast the site, so the road was still here. And my dad tells me he was one of the last people to drive down the road before it was dug up. And he said it was just a nightmare because you had these big diggers crossing road and wheels were 10 times bigger than car. It was humongous.
Well, I would have been, when the riots happened here, I would have been 1. I was born in 83, so...
83?
So I'd have been 1 year old when they happened. Yeah, I am that old.
Yeah, so there's nothing left. Derwent is named after Derwent Reservoir. Bradfield is a small village up near Hillsborough. They're just throwing everything at it except anything to do with coal mining or...
Yeah, definitely trying to avoid it, aren't they? Not only that, people that live here probably don't want to know that they're built on top of an old mine.
No.
That's probably another factor as well.
Well, I think that's another reason why they did open cast it, so then they could fill it in and make sure it was packed in properly. So, because a lot of people, especially down in Catcliffe, my mum and dad were going to buy an house in Catcliffe when I were about 2, but it had a massive crack on wall, and that's because in Catcliffe they have problems with subsidence because there were Orgreave Colliery, Treaton Colliery nearby.
So there were all fault lines everywhere from the old mine works. Now, you were saying earlier on that they open casted it was after the colliery shut.
Yes.
So the colliery shut in 1981.
And the Coke Works shut in 1990.
And then the whole, was it the whole site that was open cast or just this side?
The whole site. Everything. So from where we were stood at the Miners' Monument.
Yeah.
More or less all the way down to just before Morrison's.
Down there.
And there was a massive road going round to give access to Catcliffe. And as a child, I remember massive hills all the way around it, obviously from where they dug up and they were storing the earth on the side.
Now, it's all been filled back in, and these mounds appeared behind us, which we were stood on earlier on. Yeah, they've basically levelled the bottom site here for all the housing. So this is Soby Village, and did you say a new primary school?
Yep.
So what would have been here?
So
the back end of the Coke Works, I would have thought.
Yeah, a lot of this were just fields. There was just down this end, there was a small farm,
right,
which predated the Coke Works.
Okay, so a lot of the colliery site and the Coke Works is all behind us now. It's all up that way, and then I know there was a few branch lines that ran through the back of the site as well, from the colliery and the Coke Works. We had a few sidings and branch lines all around the back there, and later on I'll take you down. We'll see the old railway bridge where the sidings used to cross and join the main line over there. There is a line behind us as well, but there's also one over there. So two separate lines. I know there's one down the bottom in the valley down there, next to the river, as far as I'm aware. And then there's one, that's the River Rother down there, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And then you've got
Diverted
the railway up here, right at the top, where the bridge is, that I'll show you later on, where the riots happened. That's the other railway. So these lines would have been linking the two together via the colliery and the coke works. So it looks like they're creating a nice natural water channel down here, which looks new to me, lined with rocks. So when they build the houses on here, it'll be a nice little feature in the middle. That's what it looks like anyway. So we're just heading over, so you can see to our right here, this is now the lake of where the colliery would have been around this site here. And did you say that these used to be sludge beds?
Yeah.
So these were originally here, but not in this format, as sludge beds for the colliery. Obviously not in this exact formation. And the river used to run through somewhere through the middle
there.
Here.
It wasn't much off course, but
now they've moved it down that way. So where we're heading now is, I said to you earlier on that there were loads of railways running through the site, and I'll show you this map now. And you'll see on that map all the various rail routes running through the colliery site, and branch lines and sidings and anything to connect the two lines at either side. And what we're doing, we're heading down to this bridge here, which is right at the bottom of the site. Obviously the bridge is gone now, or so we think, but the actual abutments of the bridge, I think, are still there. So we're going to head down that way now and have a look at them. But while we're here, we're about to cross a brand new bridge over the River Rother, the new River Rother. Can't say that when you're drunk, can you? River Rother.
River Rother.
And then we're hopefully going to find what remains of the railway bridge. So we've got, I say a memorial, but like a plaque here, which says River Rother diverted by RJB Mining Limited as part of the reclamation of the former Orgreave Colliery and Coke Works, January 2000. So as you can see, the River Rother's there now. That's the bridge we're going to have a look at, not the railway bridge. So you've got the river here. Like you said, it used to be somewhere behind us here. Ooh, that's nice.
Nice and soft.
Nice rubber floor. I've never had that before. Bounces. Nice picture. That's very nice. You wouldn't think you were in the middle of Sheffield, would you?
No. Not at all.
Looks like something from the Yorkshire Dales. Yeah, very nice. And very calm on that side. So there used to be a colliery just up here, a bit further back, and obviously the Orgreave's over there. So you're saying there used to be a drift, coal drift?
Yeah.
Which, if you're not sure what it is, it's a conveyor belt on a frame carrying the coal across and all the supplies. And yeah, he thinks it's somewhere around here, but he just wants to have a look himself because he's not been down here before. He wants to have a nosy, see if he can find any remains of this coal drift. So let's have a good AdventureMe explore like we normally do.
Yeah.
Let's go in some brambles. I've been missing that. Let's clamber around and look for some concrete. Okay, so we've just come through these brambles here, as we always do. Made our way down to the edge, and we think we've just found the railway bridge. So if you can just see, I'll try and get you up there so you can see. There's the river down there, and you've got the old railway bridge there. Or the abutments anyway, so this must be the other side here. So right where I'm stood now would have been the other side. So you've got the abutment here, and the one just across there. I'll get you in closer. So that would have brought a lot of the lines out of the colliery site, which was down there, and probably the coke works, which was over to the right, all through here. Used to cross here, or the river, head up this way, curve round, and join the main line just at the top up there behind the scrapyard, as far as I'm aware. Now, while we're here, we're just having another look for this coal drift that we think is somewhere that way. So we'll get back to you if we find anything. Just walking through the trees, we've found an old railway sleeper, as we like to find. It's a rather large one. It's still got the metal bolts in it as well. We can get in there. See the bolts there. Yeah. Another find. So we're in the woods now. We just think we might have found something in the trees. He's looking for any foundations for the pillars. What do you think that is?
Well, to me, being bright yellow, they look like the stoppers at the end of a line.
Oh, the buffers?
Yeah.
Could well be.
Because that one looks like it had room for some lights to be in it.
So at the end of a railway line, like a siding, if you got a yellow, bright yellow sort of a buffer, not the metal buffers that stop the trains, but the like the
warning, aren't they?
The warning, yeah, they might have a light in them. It could be one of those. Any of you railway experts watching this, you'll know. See if I can get you a bit closer, just so you can see that. It's got like a cone on the front of it, underneath. So let's look for this coal drift if we can find it. So he was just telling me a story about, on the site of the colliery, just where we started the video, there used to be a hall just at the side. What was it called? Orgreave Hall?
Orgreave Hall.
And it got demolished, when would you say?
1995.
95. And the council was apparently supposed to move it, is that right?
Apparently so. And
re-erect it somewhere else, because when they built the large spoil heap on the colliery over there, we walked down, that's where it stood, somewhere at the end of that. And they said they were going to, when they took it down stone by stone, they were going to re-erect it. But instead they didn't, but they did build this clock tower, which is in the local cricket club. Let's get you a bit closer. They built that local clock tower out of some of the remains of the hall, and somewhere in Rotherham, you say, as well?
Yeah, an office development in Rotherham.
So they used some of the stone on a development in Rotherham, and the rest of it is unknown. It's been dumped somewhere, we think. There you go. So what we're going to do is we're going to head back to the top end of the site now, which is quite a fair way away, but we're going to find the old bridge that was in the pictures, and we're going to just tell you a bit of a story about that. So we've had a scour around in the trees all along this site here. We're looking for this coal drift, and it apparently left the Orgreave site over here and headed up that way to another colliery at the top, just up there. So we've covered all of this here and down here, just looking for any remains, because it had multiple pylons all along the route. We were hoping we might find some kind of a concrete base on the floor, because it's all derelict round here, and woodland, so we thought if anything it'll be here. We found something over there, didn't we? It looked like a small concrete base. We're not sure.
It also had some plastic sheeting on it, which are often used on them conveyors.
Like a asbestos thing. Like a roofing.
Yeah.
And it also had some holes in it. Looked like bolt holes, but we weren't 100% convinced when we were there that that was it. So I think we've given up on that one, but if we find anything, we'll get back to you on that.
Orgreave, near Rotherham. Nothing but landscaped grassland these days. So peaceful you can hear the skylarks. But this site is now a second front opening up against the South Yorkshire police force. The Battle of Orgreave, June the 18th, 1984. 5 years before Hillsborough, at the height of the miners' strike, but the same police force. The allegation that a mass police cover-up took place after Orgreave, involving perjury and the doctoring of statements in the wake of police violence against the miners. And still more waiting, the Home Secretary is considering whether or not to announce an inquiry to get at the truth about Orgreave and the police force. Now the world knows the truth about Hillsborough and the same police force.
So I'm going to show you a picture now. This is a famous picture that appeared in all the newspapers. It shows you the police pushing back the miners, and it was taken from roughly about this spot here. If you just notice the building on the left up there, you'll see that in the picture. And then this picture here, if I just turn the camera around, would have been taken from roughly this spot here. Now all this road has been altered. It's different heights, there's different landscaping now. But if you can just imagine that we stood roughly where this picture was taken here. That was a scientific building where they did the research, just on the left over there. So we've just made our way back over the other side of the mound here. So we were at the far side over there. So again, this was the colliery site here. And we've come down to Orgreave Lane, which is still named after the colliery, but only just. I think they keep trying to remove any remnants in the area, like I say, but I mean, it's an abandoned lane now, but it's called Orgreave Lane, so it's one thing that's got the name in the area. And we're walking away from the colliery, but we're about to cross the main railway line down here, as you can see down there. And this bridge would have led, or this road would have led into the actual colliery site here. It wasn't the main entrance in, but it was like a side or back entrance. But I'll just give you a pan around this bridge and you can see some of the graffiti here. So as you can imagine, the tensions around here are still very raw when you see what's written. And as you can see the date there, 1984, when the riots happened, which were on the next bridge over there, which we'll head to very shortly and show you where a lot of that happened, a lot of the trouble. So I'm back up the top end of the site again where I started the video. So like I said earlier on, this is the bridge here. This is the new bridge. And this was built in 2006. Just where we are now, the road would have continued towards the camera here. And it would have gone down this way, the original road at the side. And we're going to now venture down here to look at the old bridge, which is down there. But most of the trouble during the riots happened right around here. So there was a field just on the right down there where we were stood earlier on. That's where they congregated. And all they were doing was protesting and trying to stop the trucks from entering the site. The police barricaded right across the road, just where them houses are down there where we were earlier on. And they forced them back up here, all the way up to there, where I showed you earlier, where the bus stop was. Okay, so we're now making our way down the side of the new bridge, which is just up there. And this was the old road down here. I'll let Joe follow. I'll let Joe lead because he knows where he's going. I've no idea. I'm just following.
You can actually see the old way of the road there, bits of tarmac.
The old tarmac here.
Through the moss what's grown.
Nice burnt out books or something. You can see the old bridge here. So this is where a lot of the pictures would have been taken from the riots, showing the protesters walking back up this bridge here and the police forcing them this way. And I'm going to show you some pictures at the end of this video of the riots and what happened. And a lot of them will be based around this area here. Now you said that this bridge closed in 2006.
Yeah.
And the new one, well, the new one opened in 2006, which is just up there. And he said they closed this one because it was unstructurally safe. So they used to have traffic lights on it and let one car at a time. So in the end, they just closed it and built a new one at the side.
Actually see where the road is only wide enough to allow one line of traffic through at a time.
So they narrowed it to let one car pass over. Obviously, with the new housing estate down there now, they needed a better access. So this new bridge was built here. Yeah, this is the famous bridge that you would have seen in all them pictures and all that news footage that came out in the 1980s, and they still use it today as well. A lot of it. When they show you the miners' strikes, you always see the footage from here. I remember a lot of it. Another look round the bridge there.
Police pushed miners back up to this area, and there's actually some pictures of miners being forced down the embankment, roughly where the new bridge stands now.
So you've just got the railway embankment down there onto the live railway tracks.
Yeah, and there were a lot of miners what were pushed back, and as they reached this area, there were not a lot of other places for them to go, so they ended up having to climb down the embankment or some fall.
Not to forget that the police were chasing them as well with batons.
Well,
so I think a lot of them escaped down here, didn't they, to get away?
And just to bear in mind, as you can see, this is now just 2 tracks. At this time when the strike happened, there was around 6 or 7 lines, as it was as sidings.
So there's a huge sidings down there.
So it would have been a lot more dangerous than it appears today.
It's just 2 tracks now, isn't it? Yeah, so quite a controversial subject, shall we say.
Definitely.
So we're just walking down the new bridge now. You can just see the old bridge down there. You can clearly see it better there. Now we're going to finish off this video, and I'm going to just show you before we do a comparison again of another picture I've got here. So this is one of the famous pictures that was taken looking this way, and I'll just show you that view now. Take note of the wall on the left hand side here and the hump in the road, but ignore the roundabout there. And then look at this picture. On that you can see the protesters being pushed back over this bridge and the police pushing them up away from the colliery. So I'll just show you the wall a bit closer. So like I said, that picture was taken looking this way from this bridge, the old bridge over here, not this one. So they would have been looking towards the camera now, that direction. They would have been stood in the middle of the road, which would have been about here, and you can just see the brick wall there that's in the picture. But that's all that remains in this area of what was here before. And obviously this substation here, which you can see in one of the other pictures that I showed you earlier. That is all that remains. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Like I said, it was something different, and we've enjoyed our little explore around this site today, but it's been absolutely glorious weather again, so we're quite hot, aren't we?
Yeah, very.
It's a bit warm. We're gonna go get a nice cold drink now. But a big thank you to Joe for joining us.
Anytime.
And then hopefully we'll see Joe on another video in future that we've got coming up. We've just been talking about future plans. So we'll probably see Joe again in future. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below any comments you've got, and I'll see you next week.